evening, everyone, and welcome to the Family Conversation. We are your hosts, the Alfred family.
And I'm Dr. Caius, Alfred, and this is my wife.
Sara, Alfred, we are so delighted to share another evening with you from our home on our Facebook Live platform, the Family Conversation. This forum is dedicated to strengthening marriages, family relationships, and to help parents and congregation impart strong Christian values to their children.
And here we discuss family matters in a very conversational way. And we always invite our audience to participate and ask questions. So feel free to do so.
Let us pray. Loving Lord, we want to thank you for another evening, and we thank you for another opportunity to have another presentation. Now that we're about to begin, we pray that you would just draw divinely close to us and allow your Holy Spirit to take over and make all that would be done may be meaningful to the hearers, we pray, for Christ's sake.
Amen. Amen. This evening, we continue our discussion on the differences between the sexes. And today, we want to talk about how these differences can affect relationship. All right, it can create conflict and affect the relationship. And so we'll try to see how best we can understand these differences and mitigate the challenges. Now, very often you hear both men and women complain, okay, about relationship. The complaint men have about women is that women always try to change them. And often what the women say, they say that, men don't listen. They don't listen to them. So each person has a complaint. I guess the thing is that women are very empathetic. They place high value on relationship and affection. And when that is not forthcoming, of course, they feel emotionally abandoned, and it affects the relationship. Men, on the other hand, they when that happens and the women begin to complain, men believe that they are being held responsible for all that may go wrong in the relationship or that are going wrong in the relationship. And they take a defensive posture, and they try hard to try and pull things back, but after a while they get fed up and they feel that the relationship cannot work. Women, on the other hand, when men tell them that there are certain things that they do not appreciate, they try to make changes. They try to make a few changes, and they see it as part of improving the relationship. On the other hand, if you tell men some of the things that you want to see them change, they feel that they are inadequate, or you feel that they are incompetent, inept, and they feel that you're trying to change them and there's resistance, or they feel that you're just not understanding. You're not understanding them. You're not being empathetic. You're not seeking to adapt and to make changes. So that's how they view it. So it is important to understand the differences, and learn how you can mitigate these. Because both of you bringing strength into the relationship, it just requires a certain level of maturity and understanding in negotiating these things. Because in the relationship, you have to grow, you have to make the adjustment. And if you are not prepared to do that, you'll have challenges in the relationship. So, what do you think? Men always assume women want, like if a woman comes to a man and tells the man, well, you can tell me, if you come to your wife, to your husband, and you're telling your husband something that has gone wrong for the day, if the man is not sensitive, instead of listening to you, hearing you out, and trying to validate your feelings, Okay, they can jump to very quickly to try and solve the problem. Men are always in a problem solving mode. So whenever you share a problem, they always come and offer advice. And anytime you do a woman that, um, she feels that, she's not heard, she's not understood, and it can piss her off.
Well, some women, but some person, most women would prefer, sorry, the men to listen to them to all what they have to say. Too often, as soon as you open your mouth to speak, it's as if the men know all that you want to say already. And so they quickly come with a solution and with an advice. And very often what has happened and the advice they're giving does not coincide. So it is better, or we feel better when you can hear us out, listen to what has happened, listen to what maybe steps that has been taken, and then you're able to better give an advice towards the complaint that is pending.
So men are too hasty to give responses.
Yeah, because they want a quick fix and let's go.
Yeah, so that's part of the challenge. You need to listen, man, more. In fact, we say be more eager to listen and to see things from the other person's perspective before you offer any response or advice. And we say try not to give unsolicited advice. If the person didn't ask you for your advice, refrain from giving an advice as much as possible. Just hear the person out, and let the person hear what you are understanding. Let them tell you what feelings they see emanating or what feelings they see that you're expressing, and let them give you a feedback to figure so that you can know if you have understood them correctly. And you need to do that before you offer any counsel, any advice. So, gentlemen, I want you to learn that. Okay? So, I want to say good evening to all of you who are following. It is just a joy that you're here. I know we started a little late. We had some little issues, but then I'm sure that we can move past this. Okay, so
Now, there's a problem that really, there is something that really creates a problem in many homes. And I do not know if it is because of the upbringing of men or boys that it creates a problem. We know very often boys are allowed to play, run around, and the girls are asked to do everything in the house as a young person. So I guess that lends to the problem that it creates when they grow older. So housework for a man, not all men, may I say, is a problem. They try as much as possible to avoid it. They either come in late or find something else to do instead of trying to get to help or assist in the home. So they try to avoid it, and they do, at all costs, they will try to do that and go somewhere else. They feel as if that's not the job for them. If they're doing this, it's like they're a child, so it's a kind of demeaning work for them to do. Whereas it is the place where you live, that is where you have to upkeep. So the onus is not just on the lady or on the girls in the house, but it's for everybody, because especially when both partners are working and the children are still small. Then it means, therefore, when the wife comes back home, she's just as tired as you are. And depending on the type of work that you do, whether the male or the female, if the woman is doing a work that is more strenuous because of the type of work that she's doing, then even that too may lend to her being a lot more tired. Plus, she has to see about all the children. The first person they will run to for help is the mother. So apart from just seeing about the chores of the house, she also has to see about the children and also the man. So it is just courteous and kind for men to be able to assist in house jobs.
Okay, I agree with that, gentlemen. You do have to help as much as possible and make it more routine. Okay, to do it. Don't just offer it occasionally. Make it a practice to to share the house chores and to share in the responsibility. I know generally men feel that they have had their good share of work already at work. They're tired, they're knocked out, and they feel that they need to, when they come home, is a little time for relaxation. So, they believe that the wife can handle the situation.
I guess
Yes.
if she's home, then fair enough.
I still feel it's unfair
Fair
even though
enough.
she's home because I've spent time home and I find there's more work to do. You almost don't have a break when you're in the home.
No, you will not have as much to do if any at all. It all depends on the person in the house. So I am saying that, it's just a matter of giving and taking. Look at the situation and see how best you can assist your wife and your wife can assist you in the meantime. And apart from that, there is a plus to it. You have more time for you to spend with each other when both persons are able to come together and to finish the house chores.
I think one advice I can give here is that when you come home, just remember you come to a family and don't carry with you the work from your profession and bring it
Okay.
in because you can it can prevent you from spending quality time with your family.
So we are saying this is a word to the wise. It's sufficient. Do not come home with work.
Okay. Yes, it feels like I'm guilty of that, but not all of the time. All right. Okay, so it's important. You have to pay attention. It happens, and if you don't stop it, your family will feel abandoned. So it is important to do that. I think it is important to try your best as couples to complement each other in your many responsibilities. Um, another area to me is the issue of mood changes. Okay, you experience mood changes in the home, especially the wives, their mood can change. Now, by the way, men mood do change sometimes as well, but often men try to change when they see the wife's mood is has altered. They feel upset in the first place, and they try to solve the problem by trying to either discount the person's feelings, criticize them, and I don't think this plays very well for your spouse. So avoid that as much as possible. And then the same thing too, sometimes when women see men are not doing the things that they ought to do, they sometimes criticize the men instead of sitting down and taking time to discuss the situation in a more conducive environment. They try to attack the other's bad behavior, and it normally doesn't go very well. Okay, because the man may not even feel he's doing anything out of order, out of place. Okay, they're just feeling that they are unduly criticized and that because they're not doing what you want them to do, you are upset. And of course, it's not quite true because you have not understood the reason why your spouse is complaining. You have not seen the things from their perspective, and so you're assuming things there that it is because you're not doing what they want you to do that they are feeling upset. That's an assumption. It is after you see things from the person's perspective and you understand what they are going through, then you're in a better place to make a proper conclusion and then try to address the situation. Okay, so I think it is very important to be aware of that. And I think, ladies, I'll tell you, men cannot always handle those criticism well. they can feel that you are nagging, and they can feel inadequate, and they feel unloved and unappreciated, or they feel that you want to control them. So this is something you'd want to pay attention to, ladies. All right. Um, Again, we're still talking about the differences between men and women and how it affects relationship. One of the things I constantly hear is that, well, I ask especially men in their dating relationship, and I normally ask them, how, when did you make up your mind that you want to commit to that young lady? And most men tell you that from the very first time that they met that person, they saw a wife in that person. But it's not always the case with the women. I normally ask the women, when did they make their mind? And I seldom hear a lady say, when I saw the man, that first time I saw him, that I was convinced this is my husband. You do hear that, but it's not very common. What did they make that decision in the process of time? After they have observed you a little longer, and then, you know, they they look at your the way you treat them, the way you relate to them, and then it convinces them that that is the person that they need to settle down with. So the decision to settle in a relationship sometimes happen far apart. The man sooner, the lady takes a little time to do that. Do you want to share some
Which
light
makes
on that?
sense. I mean, you just meet someone, it just does not make sense to say, well, I feel this is my husband. You need to observe and learn a little more about the person before you commit yourself. You need to know about the person's family, because we all know that very often people do not show themselves exactly for who they are. If they see something, someone that they want to engage in talking or maybe falling in love with, they would put on a show.
Mm-hmm.
They would put on a show. So for a woman, yes, you put on a show, but they need to know a little more than the show. At the end of the show, what comes next? And very often when the rubber hits the road, the man wants to run. So it is important that you take your time to grow in a relationship, but not just to fall in it.
Now, while a man may be very early in the relationship is convinced that this relationship is what he really wants, somewhere down in the relationship, he begins to doubt whether this is the person that he wants. But further down, the lady feels convinced that is the person she wants. So notice that. So the man entertains doubt, lower down. The women become more convinced that that's the kind of person they want, and they want commitment. But the man sometimes delays the commitment. He's not quite prepared to make the commitment. So that is some differences that we need to be aware of. So the woman may want commitment later in the relationship. The man wants commitment early in the relationship, but he begins to doubt it a little later down.
And I guess sometimes it's because he's beginning to see other pebbles along the shore, because their eyes are all over the place. So when they begin to see other pebbles, they feel, well, okay, that's a better pebble than the one I'm holding. And so they begin to doubt.
But I think it is because they have to make a major commitment, and therefore they have to ask themselves,
the woman,
they have to ask themselves a lot of questions, and they have to ask, is that what I want? They have to find reason to satisfy themselves that the commitment. In fact, anytime you see this period of doubt comes in, the man is about to make a major decision in his life. And then he's beginning to weigh things. It's not a bad period. It has to be understood. That is the time when he's beginning to toss things in his head, in his mind, and wanting to make a commitment, but he is doubtful and he's trying to get a number of answers. So it's not a bad thing. It just must be understood. But sometimes the lady is ready for the commitment already, and he's not quite there yet. So there needs to be a little bit of patience and understanding at that time. Okay, I think there is, I don't know what some other persons are thinking. It would be nice to hear um, what others are thinking about. Men also, I think they are excited in the relationship when there is a lot of fun and when there is a lot of passion in the relationship. So, but women, on the other hand, don't show all of that passion and excitement in the relationship. They may show deep commitment. They may be some level of pursuit of the man, but they are not, they don't show the same, like the joy and the fun of the relationship. They are a little bit more sensitive and they consider themselves a little bit more emotionally available. Okay, or they want to be a little bit more emotionally available. So again, I don't think it is bad, because I think there should be a little bit of both. The men, okay, should be a little bit more emotionally available, give more attention, be more sensitive to the emotional needs of the woman, while at the same time the woman should try to find some, to create more excitement and joy in the relationship, have more fun time, and create more and show a little bit of passion in the relationship.
Well, depending on the man, if you show too much passion, he may just want to bowl you out. So, want to go a little further and faster into the relationship than where you want it to go. So it all depends on who you are dating.
Mm. Yeah, but I think you should make yourself fun to be with. It doesn't matter. If you are happy and you are fun to be with, it is very infectious. So they would love to want to be with you. I guess what you are saying there is true. If you pursuing the man too much, and if he feels that he's not the one pursuing you in the relationship, and that you are the one pushing, then he will be thinking twice about the relationship. Okay? Yeah. So there is also the issue about women getting upset, okay, when they find that you are not listening to them and that you are more prone to sharing advice with them, when they really want you to listen to them and to understand them. I think it is very important for persons to understand that the telling men normally do not feel happy with you giving them advice when they didn't ask it to you, or what we call unsolicited advice. Men do not appreciate it. I can tell you that, because for a man, advice feels like you telling him what to do. You are dictating to him, and they normally don't take very kindly to that. So I think it is something ladies need to be aware of. Women don't like their advice too when they are not, when you have not shown that you have understood them. So I think neither of the spouses or the partners like unsolicited advice. So I think this is something that, in a relationship, people need to be aware of, not to give too much advice, but take more time to try and understand each other's feeling. Maybe take more time for exploring each other, whether in the marriage or whether in a dating relationship. This is very important. Okay, because men prize their independence and women love to know that they are competent. So it is important not to be too much an advisor in the relationship, but show greater compassion and empathy and seek more to understand than for you to give advice.
While this may be true, the partner must know his wife the wife must know her partner. And there are times when the advice is needed. And if we understand each other, we'll realize it's not a matter of criticism, it's not a matter of putting down, it's genuinely trying to assist in ways that you have not seen. Like, women have a sixth sense, the sixth one. Apart from the five that everybody has, there is a sixth one. And so sometimes things come to your mind or to your understanding much faster and earlier than the man would see it. So if you see or you have understood something differently, to me it is important to be able to share it with your spouse. So they need not be so sensitive. They need not be so sensitive because, it's for the
good of
good of the relationship. And so if just because you're a man, you do not want to get advice from a woman because that would make you feel small, then you need to think a second time. It depends on the advice. It depends on the way the person say it, where they say it to you, how they say it to you. All of these must come into play before you can just feel that the person is trying to belittle you.
Yeah,
and outside of that, I think you are just too sensitive.
yeah, I just think that both spouses must understand each other, and both persons must develop the attitude of wanting to grow in the relationship, because you need to see things from the other person's perspective. You need to synchronize your minds together, and then you need to take advice and counsel. So I think it is very important. Men must learn that. Okay, it's not that the women want to change you or to dictate you. They just may be sharing with you ways they feel the relationship can improve and how things can get better, while at the same time, women need to be very careful how they say it,
where they say it, when they say it,
right, so that it doesn't come out as a criticism, and for the man to read into it that they are incompetent and deficient or inept in the relationship. So I think that's very, very important. Okay, so it's a good evening to some of our friends.
Oh, tonight, Simon, where have you been hiding? You're up and about tonight. That's very good. We've not seen you in a bit. So we are saying good night to you, Simon and Vanessa, Vasha, Philip, Jean, Isaac, Bev. Good night to you, Petula, Joseph, Jonas, Naswan.
Yeah.
Yeah. And John Johnson, Deborah Dolo, Frederick Jonge, Berjonge, good night to you. Lucretia Austin, Lucita, Augustine, and we have Doreen Esnad, Sonia Antoine, Odelia Primus. We are happy that most of you are here tonight, and we look forward to you sharing the link and liking the page so that we can continue to share important information with you. Tonight, we are looking at some of the differences that are between the male and the female that can create some sort of problem in the family. And if you know of this information before or even now, this can help mitigate some of the problems that we are having in our families. So you know that this is the difference. If you know that a lady, a certain time of the month, there's a certain mood and a certain swing, you understand why this happened, and so you should not allow this to create a problem. I'm just using an example. So once you get the information and you're able to use this information wisely, you would realize that your problems in the home can lessen by more than 25 or if not 50%.
Yeah, so as I hear you speak there, what comes to mind is that, yes, there are differences among us, but what is important is for us to understand each other, be patient, be compassionate, be respectful. And if we take that posture in the relationship, it will go a long way in helping persons manage the differences that they see and move the relationship to greater compatibility and wholeness. So at the end, because if you ask people who are married for 50 and plus, they will tell you key to the relationship is good understanding. Okay.
And good communication.
Yes, good communication.
Now, good communication would bring in the advice.
Yeah.
So you need to be able to have both, or else each person would stay in their own corner, because when I speak, it is offensive to you, and when you speak, you think you want to change me. It just wouldn't work that way. There need to be a good understanding between the husband and the wife, or the girlfriend and the boyfriend, and we need to be able to control and manage some of these problems, which will always exist, but it's how we handle them that would make them become a problem.
So you need to learn how to manage conflict. And there's no need for you to remain upset and bitter with each other. Learn to accept the differences, negotiate these things properly, be patient, yet be loving, be forgiving, and be willing to make back in the relationship. Don't hold grudges, and do not try to make enemies of each other because of the differences. So if we seek to understand each other, we will go a long way. And so I guess the big question one was asked is, how do we understand each other? Or how do you arrive at understanding? Maybe a good way to understand is to know what misunderstanding is. Misunderstanding usually happens when something happens and you make certain assumption without proof. You just believe this, or
some judgmental statements.
Right, you make some judgmental statement. Okay, you don't have the proof for it, but you have jumped to that conclusion, and you believe that the person is doing that to you, when in your mind, when in the person's mind, the conclusion you are drawing is so far from what is in the person, far removed from what the person is thinking. So, because you hear it all of the time. This person say, that person doesn't love me because they're not doing this and they're not doing that. Now, that might be so far from the person's mind. Okay, that is the conclusion you draw from what you see and what you hear, but that might be so far from the person's mind. So that is where trying to listen, trying to understand what the person has to say, trying to see things from the person's perspective is so important, because it will prevent you from drawing your conclusion. And even when something appears not to be how you would like it, learn to be, to be patient and find proper ways of actually discussing the matter and coming to a conclusion, rather than jumping to, your own assumption of what that thing is. I think, to me, if you do that, you'll go a long way in mitigating a lot of the challenges that are in the relationship.
So again, I'm saying that the three components that are really needed to solve most of our problems is: one, understanding; good communication; and patience. We need these three ingredients if we are to go a long way in our relationship, one that is enjoyable. If you cannot take time to listen to your spouse when they are making certain request or observation that they, trying to tell you, and you just want to think that it is otherwise, you are missing the point. So very often you would find yourself having conflict, because you are jumping to a conclusion before you have understood what the individual is trying to say to you. So what we are saying, you need to listen. Get the person's point of view from where they are coming. Let them explain themselves. And at the end, you would have an opportunity to explain yourself. And so they would have good communication.
Yeah, so if you are kind and sensitive to your spouse, and they tell you that something is affecting them, or they need your time, they need your attention, stop making excuses and defending yourself and getting good reasons why you cannot do that. Because to me, that is not you're not being sensitive to the needs of the person. And in a relationship, you need to be attentive to the concerns and the needs of each other. Stop blaming the person and stop trivializing what the person is telling you. Stop trying to rationalize the good reason why you're not doing it. Okay, I think you need to find time to reach out to the other person, be sensitive, and try to minister to the needs.
Just as we pause here, I just want to remind you that you need to like the page on Facebook and please subscribe so that you would always be informed of our meetings and you would enjoy what we're saying. Trust me, the information that is given here is one, either you use it for yourself if you do not know it, or you can share it with a friend so that their relationship can become a lot better. So at this time, I just pause a while to say good night to Derek Noel, Urban Regis, and Mahalia Lawrence. We are happy that you've joined us tonight, but please like and share the page,
Yeah. So
especially on the YouTube channel.
Yes, I was saying that in my practice, one of the things that I discover when people say that they cannot understand each other, they have to break the relationship, and because they're not getting anywhere, what I generally pick up is that on the one hand, the lady is telling and saying what is affecting her and what she wishes for in the relationship, and when that does not happen, it feels as if she's not receiving the care. She's feeling that she's not understood, she's not respected, her feelings are not validated, and so she feels neglected and abandoned. And she gets upset, and the way she reacts to it is generally not the best way.
So you look for reassurance.
Right. So what is important is for men to learn how to validate before they try to make it appear, before they try to defend themselves, or maybe don't defend yourself. Stop trivializing the person's feelings and the person's needs. The person is not petty. They are not, what should I call it? They are not a cry baby. They are telling you what is affecting them. Be sensitive to what you are hearing. Validate the person's feelings and try to understand them from their perspective and make the adjustments that are needed. I feel when that is done, you go a long way, gentlemen, in trying to bring happiness and joy into the life of your family.
Yes.
On the other hand, though, men do not attack and what should I say, and criticize the man and name call the man because he also has not understood you. Okay, well, you don't even know they have not understood you. You'll just feel that the person is insensitive and they don't care. Stop attacking the person because it's not going to work. Men want to feel appreciated too. They want to feel loved and accepted. And it is very important, okay, for you to demonstrate your admiration for the man in your life and approval for who he is. Okay?
You must always remember that your home is not a battlefield.
Yeah, I like that one.
It's not a battlefield. So there's no need to attack. There's no need to fight. All you need is understand. That's what you need.
Yeah.
Once you can get that going, pause a while, pull back. Nothing is going to harm you. Pull back, rethink, think over if you want to say, and then make your comment. And make it in the way that you would like to hear it if it were the other person saying it to you. So if you say it in an aggressive manner, the person who is hearing will not even understand or want to listen to you. And that is where we usually attack each other because we are angry already. And anytime there is anger, then the next is a fight. So the person is already putting up a front. And we are the ones sometimes who really create the problem just because of our attitude in the relationship.
Yeah, so I would say key to the problem is poor listening skill. Okay, and remember, listening is you achieve proper listening when you try to understand the things from the person's perspective, understand that the emotion that they are trying to communicate to you, and then begin your conversation by trying to show the person that you have understood, or at least tell the person what you have understood from what they have said, and give them a chance to say if you have gotten it right or wrong. If you get it right, validate. Validate means, okay, it is all right for you to feel upset. Oh, I sense that because I have done this, this is affecting you. Have I understood you correctly? It is okay to feel that way, and sorry that is how it is coming across. Okay?
But that's not what I mean.
Yes. But again, yes, it might be good to say that's not what you mean, but depending on the emotion of the person
At the time.
you may choose not to say that. Wait until the situation is calmed, and then you will be able to express those things. But if the person can receive it, it is okay. But if most times I would say, don't try to do it on the go when the person is already upset. Wait for a different environment, when the person is calm, when both of you, because when people are upset, they don't process information properly. So let this thing calm down, and then you will address that issue. So I think key is bad listening.
Poor listening
Poor listening skills, and the not validating a person's feeling, not entering into that feeling, and not granting the person the right to feel the way they are feeling. And do not diminish or belittle how the person is feeling. And do not try to feel that they are foolish, that is why they are behaving that way. Okay? Or they're not understanding you, that is why they are behaving the way they are behaving. And most times, if you would have given quality time to your spouse, some of those things don't happen.
Very true. So, folks, those of you who are listening, I hope you're taking note so that you can make your relationship a lot better than it is. So, Williana Filbert and Rakim Polion, we are also saying good night to you. Remember to subscribe on YouTube, on the YouTube page.
Yeah, so we are saying technically that in a relationship, you need to respect your spouse's emotions and feeling, and try your best to solve the issue.
Yeah, respect is one of the key factors in a relationship. Once there is a lack of respect, you are just cutting down all the pillars. You need to be able to respect your spouse.
Yes. So remember what we have been saying to you, right? And what my wife is also saying, that you need to take time to try and understand why the person is behaving the way they are behaving, why something is affecting them. You need to have that clear in your head before you respond, and make a concerted effort to solve the problem.
Now, folks, you can make your comments, you know. You can make your comments and ask questions. Remember that this is a family conversation, and it looked like we're just talking between the two of us, but you too can make your comments, and we will let all the others know and discuss your comment and answer your questions if you are to ask any. But make your comments and ask questions.
Yes. So I think when I listen to some of the couples when they share the problem, one of the key things I find is that there is a lot of assumption. When the person shares the problem, tells you what, when the person tells you what is affecting them, then the person just assumes that by telling me that is because you do not care about me, you do not love me. You understand? They always take the negative, they always assume a negative posture or negative interpretation of what the person says. And sometimes what happens is that there is bantering. I say something, okay, to show you that okay, that you do not like me, do not appreciate me, then you fling something back at me to show that I am not doing the same. So you see what is happening there? there's a lot of exchange, okay, in a heated argument or in a very emotionally charged environment, and things are said, okay, that exacerbate the problem. Whereas what should have happened is to take time to understand and listen to the person, apologize, make the changes that were needed, okay, and or come back to the situation in a more wholesome environment when you can discuss it and resolve the issue. Do the problem identification, resolve the issue, and have what we call shared decision making. This is what both of you agree is the best way to deal with that situation. If you do that, the relationship moves to a higher level. Okay, it gets a lift. And that's what it is intended, as you relate to each other. Then what you need to do is to come up to a point of agreement, meet each other to a certain point, meet the needs, and then the relationship moves to a different level.
Yeah, because every time you have a difficulty in your relationship, you are just at a point of growth. And it depends on what you do. You can either break that terminal bud that's about to move up a little bit and stunt yourself for a while until another branch or another bud or auxiliary bud pushes itself again. So we need to know how to manage our emotions. Do not allow our emotions to outride our reasoning, so that we can understand each other and work out the problem in an amicable way.
Yeah, I find one of the challenges that I see, especially among professionals, is that when each person complain about each other, they use either their counseling skills, use their how you call it, employee-employer relationship to solve the problem. So you often have to tell, them sometimes, your wife is not your student. You are not in a counseling relationship. You are husband and wife, or listen to me. You may have mastered your communication skills, but your wife is not there or your husband is not there. So too much assumptions are going in there. You need to understand the things from the person's perspective and not your intuition and not your natural instinct and your problem solving issue. Don't let it kick in. Stall that and take time to understand the person, and you'll go a long way in solving these things. Okay, I think what is needed is a lot of patience to try and discover what is happening to your spouse and stop the assumption. Assumption can wreck a relationship. If it is a habit, if you make it a habit, and it should be avoided, to me, from my best knowledge, you should avoid it at all costs. Avoid assuming and avoid making excuses for not doing what your partner has make a request for. Stop it. And if you do that, you'll go a long way in resolving the issues. Okay?
We have a question.
All right. So we look like we're out of time, but I'll take that question. It says, how does one deal with a spouse who would not communicate? And sometimes when the individual does, the partner, the other partner
could
the other partner sometimes when the individual does, the other partner could hardly hear the response. The first part you said that is if
one does not communicate.
Right, if a person doesn't communicate. Now you must ask yourself, is that how the person has been or is that how the person became? If the person has stopped communicating, there must be a reason for it. And you need to try and find out what that reason is so you can learn how to address the situation. And the other thing is, if when you try to communicate with your spouse, the other person doesn't want to listen and doesn't want to respond, sorry, it may mean that there is a strain in the relationship, and you may have to go and address that strain, that tension that is in that relationship, so that it can enhance the relationship, the communication, because communication is affected by how a person feels about the relationship.
So, if your partner was someone who used to communicate all before, and now they have reached to the point where they do not say anything, then there is a serious problem.
They can reach what is called a stonewalling stage in the relationship.
There's a serious problem, and so you need to address that or find help to address that situation. There is something that individual is not saying, is deciding upon, is making up their mind to either do that they are not saying. So that you can take very serious. But if it is the normal behavior of the person, one who does not speak much, that's the way they try to avoid maybe problems by just not getting into it, then there is a different approach you need to take than just maybe trying to seek counsel, but try to really coax a person into saying or understanding or voicing their opinion on a matter. And you don't only need to try to have that person to speak when there is a problem, but you need to be able to talk, communicate a little more with that individual. Spend some time where you know, on good terms can talk. Do not only wait when there is a problem and then you say the person is not saying much. If you make it a habit to always speak to your spouse, then eventually that person will always open up to you.
Sometimes the person who is not is not conversational can learn from you. You know, you can draw it out of the person as you do it more and more, okay, without criticizing. Learn to first accept the person for who they are, and literally coach the person into becoming better. They will eventually become better. I know of a lot of many couples who came with one person being very quiet, doesn't speak much, but instead of criticizing the person, accept the person for who they are, and literally bring out of the person a more conversational attitude than they had before.
Okay, so then
so you can learn. You can learn.
There's a second question. So what if there's never any shared solution made? The problem is just discussed, but no solution. How do you come up with the solution?
Yeah, well, there is a problem. If things are never resolved, firstly because the person maybe never think there's any serious problem to what you are mentioning. If anytime you discover you are stuck, then you need to get professional help. If you notice that you're stuck here and you're not getting anywhere, get professional help, because there could be other reasons that the person is not coming up with solutions. There are a number of them. Some of them is just that the person doesn't see a big problem with what you're saying. For them, solving a problem is, just leave that and just move on.
Or sometimes because of past experience too.
Yes.
The way the problem ended
up, right? They see it's going to end up.
Yeah, instead of getting to the tug of war, I say nothing. Whatever you want to do, just go ahead and do it. Yeah. Or whatever your solution to the problem, just go ahead with it. So we need to be able to observe and understand what has been going on so that we can arrive at the conclusion. There is a third question.
Yeah, they always tell you anytime you have those issues, there's an underlying cause, and you just have to find out what that cause is. If you can't find it, get help so that the professional can find it.
Now, the third question says, does this only apply to marriages? And I would say, no, it does not only apply to marriages. Any relationship, whether it be at work, whether it be at school, with your teacher, your peers, that does not work. So it is important that you get It just slipped
to the bottom of it,
to the bottom of what you have to say, so that what you want to solve, so that you can really arrive at the solution.
Yes, sometimes some people, you have to spend time with them doing what they enjoy to be able to get a conversation out of them. Okay, games, what they are good at. So you get there, and then in that process, you can talk with them, especially men, men and boys. Sometimes you get more out of them if you're doing the things that they like. If you're having fun with them, then you're more likely to get a conversation.
Or then, instead of laying down rules, make suggestions and let the person choose a suggestion. And then from there, you can find out why is this one and not this one. And, you get to the point. But you have to find a way of trying to work around it, because it is important to have communication in the home. You can't just live in a home and only one person is running the show, while the other one is not saying anything, and it's only what you like you are doing. Then it is affecting the person in one way or another, even if they do not say anything.
Yes, and the other thing too, as I said, there are many causes for that. Sometimes you can have what is called an active partner, and an active partner creates a passive partner. You are the one always taking the initiative, yes, and you're not giving the other person a chance to come up with what needs to be done. So you will find yourself always having to solve the problem.
Yeah, because you know it all.
Yes,
okay,
because you're always taking the initiative. When something happens, you're always jumping up to solve it.
And hushing the other
right.
one.
So
yeah.
it creates an active partner creates an inactive, a passive person. Yeah. So to always remember that if you're doing all of the work, you're going to create a lazy person, a person who is not going to help you. You need to find a way to create, to create partnership and complement in the relationship. But we've
run out of time, yes, but we want to say good night to Lyra Joye, right, yes, Byrill Gabriel, and Jeffrey Regis. It was nice having you all tonight, but we've run out of time. So we are about to close by just praying, and I'm seeing questions are coming up now, so let's give it a quick run, because sometimes that information is just necessary at this point.
Okay, how would you advise someone who feels that time will heal whenever there is an issue? It is not dealt with, but have the opinion that time will heal it. It just doesn't work. As somebody says, time heals. Time doesn't just heal. It heals if the right things, the right approach, or the right steps are taken. But time doesn't automatically heal things.
And sometimes, yes, we say time don't heal, but it will heal, and not the right way. So we have an example of having a broken arm. Yes, you did not take good care of it. It's like you did not take the right decision and the right procedure. That arm will heal, but it will not be straight. It might be one that you will never be able to use again. The same way it is with our relationship. We cannot just leave it to time. We need to put in the effort to make it happen.
And yes, and do it right. Okay, thank you. It was nice having all of you, and thank you for the comments. And how I love it. And please share more of this again. Let's pray. Father in heaven, thank you for the time spent, the information that came to the fore. And I pray, dear Lord, that couples will understand some of the challenges that happen in relationship are not just you new or things that are foreign to other relationships, but it is about how these are managed. So I pray that, Lord, each couple and persons who are encountering challenges like this will try to put the work to understand what is happening and to take the best approach to solve these issues so that the relationship that may have been strained can be healed. Thank you for hearing our prayers and bring your peace into families, we pray in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Amen. So we say good night to you at this point. It was nice having you. Have a wonderful night. God bless you. See you next Monday night at the same time.